Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. From now through May 6th, if you use that promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a War of the Spark booster box. See the description below for details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and it is another day of War of the Spark previews. We're going to recap and analyze all the cards that were officially previewed over the last 24 hours or so, and we got some good ones to look at today. If you're curious as to any of the sources, just check out the description below. All the information is there, and let's get into it. Finale of Glory. It's going to be a glorious 3-hour finale. If anyone knows where that's from, let me know in the comments below. So anyway, this one is a mythic. It's another part of this cycle, and yeah, it's really sweet. So these are all awesome in Commander. I've been saying that over the last week or so since they started previewing these, but this one especially is going to be amazing if you have the mana to put into it. If you can make 4/4 Angel tokens, this thing will be insane for you. 4/4 Flying Vigilance, a whole bunch of those things hit the board. If someone doesn't have a board wipe or something, you're probably going to win that game real quick. So yes, definitely good there. What about Standard? Is it good there? I think it's okay, because I don't feel like white is going to necessarily be the easiest color to go ahead and get to 10x on this, at least 10x. So that's a little bit of a drawback for me. Creating tokens is great. Soldier tokens that are 2/2, that's wonderful. They have Vigilance too, which is nice. But is this better than March of the Multitudes for me, which I can use at instant speed? I don't know. I'd at least want to test it in Selesnya tokens, just kind of see how it plays. It definitely does scale well, and if I am playing green and white, maybe I could ramp into 12 mana at some point. That would be pretty interesting if you can make that happen consistently anyway, but I think it would be tough to do. Of course, being a mythic, this should be a limited bomb, and yes, it is a limited bomb. Gideon Blackblade, the card that was so nice it was leaked twice. The first time it was leaked, we saw it in its looks like Mythic Edition form, and then it got leaked later in this form. Well, it finally got really previewed by Wizards, and here it is. So this card, you know by now what it does probably. Just 3 casting cost 4/4 creature on your turn that is indestructible, and also prevent all damage that would be dealt to it during your turn. So, okay, all the other stuff is just gravy if you read that. Granted, I realize it's not a very defensive creature, can't block or anything, but who cares? For 3 mana, a 4/4 creature indestructible that's going to get in there and rumble? You have me right there. Now, it does other stuff too. The +1 is very relevant, especially if you want to get aggressive and you're in white. Those white aggro decks will really appreciate this. Probably just about any deck playing white will appreciate this. And the -6 can be very, very relevant too, and not hard to get to either. This sees a lot of standard play. This probably sees some modern play. Is this good enough to make Gideon Tribal a modern deck? I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of a leap, but who knows? It's another piece to that puzzle, I think. And again, if you happen to open this in Drafter Sealed, you're having an amazing day. Narset, Parter of Veils, a good uncommon planeswalker here. A lot of these uncommon planeswalkers feel very strong, very pushed, at least sideboard playable in a number of formats, and this one's no exception. I could see myself running this in a number of sideboards just because of that first ability. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. That really does mess with control builds that are trying to draw as many cards as possible, and you can play this out of the sideboard in a control mirror, and it is a one-sided effect. It only impacts your opponent. That's kind of awesome. Now, it goes further than that. -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That is a very relevant ability there. Definitely Spellslinger style decks like is it Drake's or is it Phoenix decks, they're going to enjoy something like this. I think it's at least worth testing there. And as a side effect, it also hoses Control or any deck that's trying to draw a lot of cards. Another place this could be good in Standard is Super Friends if that can get there. This will let you dig for more planeswalkers, which is kind of cool. And outside of there, this could be a fun commander card. It combos with some things like Teferi's Puzzle Box, for example, to really restrict your opponent's options while letting you see more cards. Narset's Reversal, another really push card in this set. I really like some of the cards that we're seeing here. This one happens to be a rare, but even a lot of the commons and uncommons have been really strong and even worthy of considering seeing play in Standard, sometimes even Modern. They have really pushed the power level in this set, no doubt. So what does this card do? Well, it's not quite counterspell for 2 blue, but copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. So it's not going to work against creature spells or planeswalkers or anything like that, only instants and sorceries. But what it does is one of two things. I could either play, say, a cheap instant or sorcery out of my hand, play this behind it, still get the effect, and then return it to my hand so I can play it again later. That could be relevant in Izzet Phoenix decks, for example. Or I wait for my opponent to play an instant or sorcery, and then I kind of deflect it back to them and tempo them at the same time. So granted, they still get to keep their card, they can cast it again later, but I get the effect and I slow them down. That's really not bad for 2 mana. I could see this as a sideboard card in Standard against decks playing a fair amount of instants and sorceries, if nothing else. This is really good against Thoughtseize style effects, so maybe this could see some modern sideboard play as well. That's something to watch for. Overall, another really good card that you could see show up in a lot of places. Command the Dread Horde. This is a sweet commander card first and foremost. You're going to have a lot of targets out there in the various graveyards between creatures and planeswalkers. And secondly, you're going to have extra life to play around with, which is nice. But can this thing actually do anything outside of Commander, maybe Standard? Well, it is a difficult card, I think, to make work under normal circumstances at that casting cost. However, this does combo with the Wanderer. Now, that might be a little janky, but if you could get it to work, that could be sweet. Within Limited, I think it's a fine card there. You're not going to necessarily be able to bring every planeswalker and creature back from your graveyard and your opponent's graveyard. But even if you could just grab 1 or 2 of the best planeswalkers / creatures that are out there between the 2 graveyards, it's definitely worth the casting cost. Finale of Eternity. Okay, another one of these Finale cards. And like I said before, these are all good. I mean, they're mythics. They should be. Now, this one I think is strong enough to see a little Standard play, maybe in Chromatic Black decks, for example. And taking out 3 creatures potentially, that's really not bad. You have to put a little bit of mana into it, definitely, and it's going to depend on board state. But if they have a few key cards out there that they're relying on to win, this could really put them back quite a bit. And if you're playing a creature-heavy deck like Zombies or something like that, you might prefer this to a board sweep. Again, you have that if X can at least get to 10 ability this time, you get to return all creature cards from your graveyard to play. Well, that's kind of awesome, but again, you can't really count on getting there. It's not going to be easy to pull off in Standard, for example. Might not even be all that easy to pull off in the Limited environment. It just kind of depends on how fast or slow it is. But with that being said, this is still a great card. Sees at least a little Standard play, maybe out of sideboards. And in Limited, I'm definitely playing this thing. Yet another crazy bomb and another great commander card. Sarkhan, the Masterless. So here's a card at first glance you might think to yourself, yeah, I can throw this in my Commander Dragons deck and be happy. And yeah, you could. Also, it could see a little Standard play, again, if that Super Friends deck can get there. If it does, this could be a powerful component to that deck, maybe a finisher. If that deck doesn't get there, I don't know if it's going to see a ton of play in Standard anywhere else, just because there's so many good options when you're thinking of 4 or 5 casting cost spells in red. Even just Arclight Phoenix and Rekindling Phoenix, for example, are cards that would probably push this out. But one place I might see it is in the sideboard of an aggressive deck that might want to race other aggressive decks in the late game. In Draft or Sealed, this will be a fantastic card, of course, and it is a monocolor card, so if you pick it early in a draft, you don't feel too committed to going down a certain path, which is nice. Sarkhan's Catharsis. Have you ever sat around thinking to yourself, you know what I really need? I need an instant speed Lava Axe. Well, here you go. This is an instant speed Lava Axe, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, because the Lava Axe was borderline playable almost in Standard as a sorcery. This could see Standard play in a number of different builds. This is a big chunk of life total. This is a quarter of your opponent's life total in Standard. Also, you could take care of problematic planeswalkers. Within Draft or Sealed, this will be a solid card. You might be able to pick it up in the middle portion of a pack and it will still be playable. It's very splashable. The big drawback here, which could be a problem in Draft or Sealed games, is it doesn't protect you against creatures. So you don't want to necessarily use this in lieu of removal necessarily. But again, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, it can be a good card. It can go to the face for a lot of damage, or it can deal with a planeswalker. Alright, we're at our last finale spell, Finale of Devastation, of course another mythic, part of this cycle, and this is my favorite of the whole group actually. A little bit reminiscent of Green Sun Zenith, and we know how good that card is. It is different though, it's got some pluses and some minuses compared to that card, but the pluses stand out to me. You're able to search your library and or graveyard for a creature card, not a green creature card, but any creature card. That gives you tons of flexibility that Green Sun Zenith doesn't give you. Now you don't get to shuffle it back into your deck when you use it or anything like that. This also costs 1 more than Green Sun Zenith, but that's okay, because it has this other ability that if you can get that X, of course, up to 10 or more, and your creatures will get +X and haste until end of turn. This card is super pushed. What I like about it is it scales really nicely like all of these finales do, but you could go ahead and just pay 3 and go get yourself a Llanowar Elf early in the game, Or later in the game, you could pay a lot more and get yourself something bigger that could hopefully try to put away the game. Beyond that, green is the color of ramp, right? If any of these have the best chance of being able to get that X up to at least 10, it's probably this one. And that could be game ending if it happens. This is going to see standard play, probably sees modern play. Like all the others in the cycle, it will be incredible in Commander. And it is a limited bomb, of course. Okay, Wizards sneaked by another cycle of basic lands a few days ago. In case you're curious as to what they look like, here's your plains, island, swamp, mountain, and forest. All right, that's going to wrap up our previews for today. We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to recap everything that happened over the next 24 hours. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.